I work at a recovery center now, and I don't have I never had a drug issue, never been an addict. I don't have a recovery background. I'm not a therapist or a counselor. They simply wanted me to go and speak about what I know. And I was terrified because I'm going to a center where I, I've never dealt with drugs before. I've never really dealt with addictions. And right off the bat, the first thing I said is, I'm going to teach them the principles. Because right off, the first day I did it, it was like mind, consciousness, and thought, and, Sid Banks quotes and Michael Neal videos. And people said it was cool. And I was like, how come they're not getting it? I mean, like, this is mind blowing. What's going on? Then the next couple classes, I just started to share from what I know. I said, you know what, this wasn't working. I just started to share. It was about a month in where I asked the group, what's the best thing that you have learned from my group? And I was hoping they would say, well, I learned about the principles or what insight is. And they said, this is the only hour that I don't have to feel like an addict and I can be a human. And it struck me that once I got rid of the idea of how I need to share the principles and I actually connected with them and I listened and didn't try to interpret what they need from my thinking, and I just showed up, something changed. And what I mean by when I say people, before the principles is that when we connect from that space of humanity first, what they see is just an added bonus. What I explain is just an added bonus, right? The gateway for them to be able to see something new is a deep connection first and foremost. And even in my group, in my Facebook group, I see it. We get caught up in our head, and it's like, no, you're doing the principles wrong, and you're saying, and it becomes funny to see that, because the very thing that got us into the principles in the first place is simply a glimpse, is simply an opening, is simply a dismantling of all the ideas we had from our personal thinking, until we saw something enough to connect with our wife, our employee, or ourselves. And then we get back into, well, I want more of that. And we forget the very thing that we want more of was simply connection, simply being on a journey with somebody else. Now, that doesn't mean not to look deeply into the principles or read books or go to seminars. But when it's time to be with somebody else, it's time to be with somebody else. When it's time to connect with somebody else or to coach, this is going to sound strange, but when it's time to coach someone, don't be a coach. Just listen. When it's time to be at a recovery center and help addicts, stop looking at them as addicts and listen. And something happens from that space. Something emerges from that space. And it relieves us from having to come in. I hear it all the time from my coaching clients. How do I share the principles? And it becomes such a thing to do, because if I don't do it right and if I mess it up, they're not even available to discuss what it's all about, right? And so, if I have to give a strategy, is you start from where you are. So, when I ask a client or a coach that's working with me, well, what are you afraid of? Well, I'm afraid I'm going to do it wrong. I'm afraid that they're not going to understand what the principles are. They're going to think it's a cult. They're going to think that I've lost grips with reality. I said, great, then you share that with them. And they go, well, why would I do that? I said, because that's where you really are. Because the real-time you is what people need. After all, how do we tell people that they're okay where they're at when we don't believe we are, right? How do we tell people that our state of mind is going to do what states of mind are going to do? They're going to fluctuate, but in that state of mind, wherever we are, we have what's called consciousness or awareness to let us know we are just going in a roller coaster, that we are just simply going in a ride. But regardless of the ride, I can tell you where I'm at. I'm at the highest point of the ride. Now I'm going down. Now I'm going up. We're just simply explaining the ride. And what a gift it is to be able to share with people. I'm afraid right now. I don't know where to begin because that in of itself is a beginning. I don't know where to start. Well, that's a wonderful starting place. And from there, something tends to emerge because you have now connected to real time. You have now connected to this moment wherever you are at. And then we start to transcend our state of mind. We transcend what we think we are, and we just become with the people in front of us, as I am with you guys right now.